Today, I'm going to briefly discuss organizing your main points. This is a subject where I feel like you will learn best from doing and reviewing, but I wanted to provide a short lecture for my auditory learners. The book highlights the most common ways to organize your speeches and outlines. The organizational pattern is determined by your main points. The three that you could be using and should be using for your informative speech are topical, chronological, and spatial. Topical is the most common pattern used, and it simply means that you select and divide your main points by topic. All of your main points will be focused on your main topic. I will have an example of this later. The chronological pattern organizes your speech in a linear timeline. This sort of structure makes sense if you are talking about a specific event or a topic with a substantial wrist history to draw from. The third type of pattern you might consider using for your informative speech would be spatial. A speech that is organized in a spatial pattern selects the main points based on location, and again, I'll be providing some examples of these three types of organizational patterns shortly. The cause-effect, problem-solution, and pro-con patterns are used for persuasive speaking, and we will talk more about them during that section. I will remind you, if those feel like a better fit for your informative speech topic, you are not doing your duty to provide an informative speech topic. They should not make sense as an organizational pattern for your informative speech topic. So you should be looking to arrange your informative speech topic by topical, chronological, or spatial. Before I finish up with some examples, I wanted to provide several tips on organizing your main points. First, use a limited number. 3 seems to be the magic number when I've been teaching this class, and falling into 2 to 4 seems to keep people within the time and on track. Make sure that your main points are clear to the audience. You should be doing this by previewing your main points and using transitional devices, something that's also mentioned on the bottom of this page. Your audience should know what to expect and where you are going to continue following along. Make sure that your main points are parallel to one another. So if you have 3 main points, they should complement one another. If you select a spatial organizational pattern, they should all fit into that category. Additionally, you should have about the same length or amount of information collected and written on each main point. It will be very apparent to your instructor and your audience if you've not done your due diligence as a speechwriter on a main point, if you just say 2 sentences about it and move on. And again, use transitions between your introduction and first main points, introducing other main points and getting to your conclusion. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on this. The textbook provides simple language to transition between. Your audience just needs words that they call signposts that will help guide us through your message and also help you guide yourself through your message. It just really helps the flow for everyone. And a couple, again, not reinventing the wheel, a couple of words that you can use that are very simple would just say first and next and finally and things like that. So the next 2 slides are examples of informative speech topics and patterns and main points for you to peruse and just be thinking about. For hiking in the Midwest, I wanted to do a spatial example, I provided, so I could, one of my main points would be a park in Illinois, one of my main points would be a park in Indiana, and then one of my main points would be a park in Wisconsin. Or if I wanted to talk about hiking, so I might decide to go with topical, and I have 4 potential main points. I probably whittle it down to 3 just for the sake of time. But while they're all about hiking, they're not organized spatially by location or chronologically, so in a timeline of sorts. And then another speech topic, so say I decided that I wanted to talk about, I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan, so I decided that I specifically wanted to talk about the rebellion, which in the Star Wars movies would be considered, the good guys. So maybe I want to do a chronological organizational pattern for my speech. So I'm going to talk about 3 events that happened between the rebellion and the Empire, the bad guys. Or maybe I want to do a spatial organizational pattern, so I want to teach my audience about 4 different locations that the rebellion uses during the films and in the books. So those are just a couple of examples of ways you might want to organize. And every speech topic is going to have, might fit into a couple of different categories. So it may be up to you on how you want to organize that speech pattern and what you want to teach your audience about. Because maybe for Star Wars, the spatial one would be fun because it might provide information that people have just never heard before unless they're as big of a Star Wars nerd as I am. So that's all I have on main points for right now. Instead of a typical reading quiz this week, you have an assignment on this topic. This is my way of testing that you understand main points, and it's also a way to get you working on your informative speech topic. So hopefully you think of it, and I think of it, as a win-win for both of us. If you have questions about this topic, or if you want me to review your main points, your specific main points for your speech, you know where to find me. Thanks for listening.